Welcome to our podcast, Parenting by the Pint. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, Minivan Mafia. Lauren and I are longtime friends from Chicagoland that love getting together to chat about life, kids, family, and beer.
Each week, we'll feature a brewery and sample at least 2 of their beers.
We'll also discuss a variety of topics ranging from parenting, pop culture, travel, marriage, and just about anything else that comes to mind.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, Kara, how you doing today?
Not too bad.
Good.
Keeping on.
That'll work. That'll do.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like it's been a really long week for some reason to me.
Yeah. Well, you and I tend to usually meet earlier in the week when we get together. And this is a late week. This is a Thursday night for us. So it's kind of like...
that's a rarity for us. Usually it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest.
Yeah.
So,
we don't really do weekend get-togethers for recording because obviously... obvious reasons. We're either doing something already, or I'm solo with my kids a lot on the weekends. I know you are too.
Yep.
So it's complicated. You can't have the kids around while you're recording. So
yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, but not preferable.
I would rather not.
We're gonna not do that.
There is absolutely no way my kids would give us peace for 35
There'd
straight
be a
minutes.
whole lot of interruptions on that one. So,
totally.
All right. Well, we're good. We are talking about Noble Creature Cask House this evening.
Yeah.
Which I had never literally heard of ever. So this is one of the dwindling downs of our road trip beers.
Yes,
from your husband's. Should call it the Clarity or something.
The Clarity road trip. Yeah.
But
he really got a lot of beer on this trip.
He did get a lot of beer on this road trip.
I didn't really notice when he got home.
Yeah, he must have had a box full of beer from his trip.
I will say that when I took these beers out, my fridge is looking a little bare. I think we need to
another road trip.
Well, actually, my husband is going on a road trip this coming weekend, which will have been a few weeks ago by the time you guys hear this. But he's going to stop at Narrow Gauge.
Nice. St. Louis. He's heading south. All right. Cool.
And I was looking at their website, and he was like, "What do you want me to buy?" Yeah. And I was like, "You know what? Just get one of everything. I don't know. That'd be like $500. Just get one of everything." And he was just like, "Yeah, what else are we going to spend the money on?" And I was just like, "Okay, bye."
Yeah, I'm glad we agree. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It'll be a surprise.
So we might have 4 straight episodes of Narrow Gauge.
Just Narrow Gauge. You know what? I'm okay with that. That sounds great.
Bad.
All right, cool. Yeah, we don't have any significant road trips soon, but we're heading down to Louisville at the end of the month. So maybe we'll see what we can find on our way.
I think that will yield some results.
I think we will. So we'll continue our road tripping.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't run out of Chicago breweries yet.
True.
Certainly not.
Yes, we can continue on with I don't know if we'll ever run out of Chicago area breweries, but we will continue broadening our horizons. So, Noble Creature Cask House in Youngstown, Ohio. We are going to start with Thin Lips.
That is where my husband stayed on the road trip, was in Youngstown.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been to Youngstown.
Well, he was told by a coworker that Youngstown was the natural middle ground from New York City to Chicago.
Huh, okay.
And it really kind of is. It's pretty even.
Nice. Okay.
So, and it's I can't call it a major city exactly, but it's a pretty decent metropolis.
Sure. There's restaurants and stores and hotels.
Yeah,
and
I mean
they
had all the chain hotels and restaurants and those sort of things.
Yeah, cool.
For his trip. So.
Nice. Whoop. Nice. All right, so Thin Lips. This says it's named after our dog with the thinnest of thinnest lips.
Okay.
It's a sour ale with cranberry, raspberry, and dry hops. So, 4.5 ABV, so pretty sessionable. Ooh, it smells like a sour.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm getting a lot of cranberry, but definitely raspberry too.
Raspberry.
Right?
I get heavy on the raspberry. I really like raspberry, so that's probably why I'm pulling
I really
that.
like cranberry.
See, there you go.
We're getting
It's got
what
a
we
little
want.
bit for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, let's give this a shot. It's got a pretty, like, pinkish, almost orangish, like, color to it.
Yeah.
It's like a rosé of beers.
That's
what it looks like. The color.
sorry. That's perfect. I mean, it is exactly right. It's a very good description. That's
the color. It
very
totally
much.
is. I like this. It's definitely tart. I mean, it's a sour ale, so it's supposed to be. But I like the flavor profile to it. The cranberry and the raspberry have like a good mix together.
They have a nice little symbiosis, these two, because I get both.
They really do.
Although, as we've already mentioned, I'm kind of getting cranberry and you're kind of getting raspberry, but
I get the cranberry in the taste. I get the raspberry in the smell. I mean, I get both in the taste, but I like this combo.
Yeah. This is really good. And it does have a little bit of that traditional, like, funky, especially in the aftertaste.
Very much in the
sour
aftertaste.
funk that you get with a traditional sour.
Yeah, it still gives that, like, sticks in the back of your throat type feel to that sour, but it's got a really good flavor to it. Thin lips. Well, all right, so Noble Creature, already said they're a microbrewery in Youngstown, Ohio. They're actually in an old Presbyterian church.
Awesome.
Like a number of other breweries that we've talked about so far. So the church was originally built in 1923, and they tried to preserve the stained glass, and they repurposed pews and boards and floors and all kinds of things. And it opened in December of 2017. Ira and Marcy, husband-wife couple.
Okay.
Ira, of course, got into homebrewing, like everybody. Back in 2010, his background in college was actually a sculptor, which was interesting. So he said that he used to drink Old German and Pabst and then was turned on to craft beer. And he felt like brewing was just the perfect blend of art, science, and engineering together. So his things all kind of together. So the sculpture in him and the sculptor in him, and some of the other qualities. So they pride themselves on creative and unique beers. Pretty much sours is their thing. And they're big into supporting the community there. They donate to local food banks and animal shelters, huge into animals. So Noble Creature, so where the name came from, was that was kind of their nickname for pets. They called them their noble creatures.
I like that.
So their first dog, the wife Marcy, called her Noble Creature, and the nickname just stuck. Sounds like based on this, they've had multiple other pets, because this is, named after the dog with the thin lips. So, but their slogan has a skull of a cat on it, which was inspired by their first creature, which was a stray cat named Negril, I think was its name. But so that was the inspiration for the logo that they have, which looks like a black cat skull on it. So that's where the Noble Creature name came from.
It's kind of like a weird creative animal theme in this, which
Right?
I'm not
Like,
disliking.
Yeah,
I like
even
the
like
art
the
on this
thin
can.
lips can art.
It's got like
is,
a dog, and he's dressed
with
as like
like
of an old warrior
Yeah,
type.
he's got like a
headdress.
animal skull headdress on the dog itself. So,
But I love the whole giving back to the community thing. I think that's such a cool thing, and we've talked about it before. Breweries doing that, where they kind of fall into this really unique category of businesses that do that.
yes.
They hold events for fundraising, and they try to work with other organizations.
Yeah, they
to
try and be
promote
philanthropic and promote things that they believe in. This one just happens to be, a lot with animals. But something interesting that they were doing pre-COVID was they were also doing kind of a brewing classes that you could work with Ira. He's the head brewer owner. They stopped that with COVID. I don't know if they've brought that back, but something else experience wise that people could come in and see how to brew beers and things like that, which is cool. There's a couple other breweries that we've talked about that have done similar things to help kind of people get up and running and started and, interested in it. COVID kind of put a nix on some of that, but yeah, so kind of cool. Like I said, I had never heard of these people before, so I really like this one that we've drank, and I like the homage to the animals, and it's a pretty cool sounding place. So we will continue drinking Thin Lips and talk about
discipline. When our noble creatures aren't being so noble. We have to come out and lay the smack down.
Lay the law down. Yeah. Me and my husband were discussing this earlier. We were talking briefly about like how we were disciplined as kids as well. And me and my husband apparently were both very good children, because I was like, well, how did you get disciplined as a kid? And he's like, I can count on one hand the number of times that I was grounded. Like, usually my mom only had to raise her voice, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm done. So, and same with me, really. Like, my mom was never super stern. My dad was a little bit, but I feel like we just kind of had more respect for our parents.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I was thinking on this too, because I have literally the same feelings about myself.
Yeah.
I was like, how was I disciplined?
Yeah.
And not at all.
Exactly. We didn't really have to be, thinking back.
I guess there were probably times where I was like kind of threatened with a punishment, like threatened with something like that. But I don't remember ever being like sent to my room or having things taken away.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, even as like a young adult, like a teenager, I'm sure there were plenty of moments where I like did something they didn't like.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that, and I thought there were a couple of occasions where I remember my dad being like not super pleased. One of them was specifically you and Brandon went to a Tool concert, and you brought me a T-shirt, and you were like, "Oh, here, we got you this shirt. It was $35." And I was like, oh, okay. And I just like asked my dad for the money.
Sure.
And he was like, for what? And I was like, oh, Lauren and Brandon got me a T-shirt. And he was like, a $35 T-shirt? And I was like, yeah. And he was just like, that's ridiculous. And he was like really irritated about it, and he gave me the money, and of course I paid you for the shirt.
Right,
I still have the shirt, by the way. I never am getting rid of it. I'm gonna be buried in that shirt.
Literally, yeah. It's going in the coffin.
$35 shirt's gonna last me my whole life, you guys. But he was really not happy about that, and he like kind of gave me a cold shoulder. I mean, I was older.
Right.
You guys were obviously old enough to go to a concert.
Right, yeah.
So it was probably late high school or early college even. I mean, it could have been. I'm not totally sure. Man, I had a job in college, so I probably would have given you guys the money and not asked for the money.
I want to say it was like, it might have been high school. It was.
I thought it
Tool
was
played
high
at the
school.
Riv. So whenever they played at the Riv,
we're gonna
concert
have to
sold out in 43 seconds. We went to
remember
Jewel.
this.
And we bought the tickets.
I'm so proud of you.
I totally remember. Actually, Tool tickets go on sale tomorrow.
For another show?
In case you're wondering.
I think though, on my days of that are maybe behind me.
2001.
2001. Okay, so we were in college then.
Yeah, it was like our first year of college. But I think the concert was summer, so we would have
maybe
been
I
home,
asked him for money then, because I did work, but I didn't work freshman year.
Yeah.
So it was probably...
It would have been end of freshman year, summer right after. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
anyway,
that's good to know.
that
was like the only time I could recall specifically being like not well received by my parents because of something I had done.
Which is only kind of
Which
done.
is sort of like, I mean, did I give you guys a limit? No, I didn't.
I mean, the shirt was, they probably were the same price.
Yeah.
No matter what,
and like, do I like feel like you shouldn't have bought me one? Well, no, I specifically asked you to. So like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to.
No, I don't think I would change that decision. But there's times that we're not going to do things that our parents love, which I get. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't really recall. Like, I definitely recall doing things that my parents didn't necessarily love, but most of them were like when I was older, too.
Yeah, sure.
Like, they didn't necessarily agree with my decisions, but some of them were at the time, like, they just didn't agree with my decisions. Not that they were really in a position to discipline me anymore.
You. Sure.
Brianna and I asked, I was like, what kind of discipline? And his response was, well, I got smacked across the mouth a couple times for talking back. And I was like, well, that's because that's what you did back in the day.
I know, yeah. So. I mean, I was going to say when I was like, I was threatened with punishment. There were a couple of times where I was threatened with a spanking.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I made the comment, I said, I envision this in our future at some point with our children talking back to us. So, right. And yeah, so different. But yeah, us as kids, we're pretty
Maybe
good.
We're just angels.
Right? We're just fantastic
and that's why we've been
children.
Saddled with these little devils.
Right? I was going to say, however, I definitely have disciplined my children more than I ever remember being disciplined as a child. So
yeah, I was going to say
that.
very quickly before we move on from the spankings.
Yes.
Because I have a feeling we're not going to come back to that in our own parenting styles. Although, correct me if I am wrong. But
not yet.
Yeah, right. That's what I always say to my husband. When do we get to start spanking the children, Mike?
Yeah.
And he said to me the other day, it's too late.
Aww,
and I was like, we missed our window. I took my older son to Great America a few years ago.
Okay.
He had like won the free ticket for like the book thing.
Yeah, the reading thing, whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And of course, I remember specifically, he had won the free ticket and we had waited too long and didn't go. And he was still like heart set on going. Right. So I did have to pay for both of us.
It's so expensive.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
And we're standing in line for a roller coaster, but one of the little kiddie ones. Mm-hmm. And this woman is in front of us with, I think, 2 kids, one of which was probably close to my son's age, and one was like a little one.
Oh, okay.
Like little, like wearing a diaper.
Oh, wow. Little. Okay.
And the little one did something, yanked away from her or tried to run off or whatever, and she grabbed him and she totally spanked him right in the butt.
Yeah.
And my son, my younger son wasn't with us. It was just me and my older son, my 10-year-old, although I think he was like 8, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
He observed this and said something to me. He was just like, that mom just hit her kid.
Yep.
And I was just like, yeah, he was misbehaving. And Joe was like, but he hit her.
Yep.
And she heard it. And she was kind of like, yeah, some parents do that, when they really want their kids to behave. And my kids know that is...
means business. Yeah.
Serious. And my son was just kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, so next time you're complaining about me, bro.
Remember this.
Maybe ease off a little bit. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, there you go. That's, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny to see him react to that. Though.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think my kids have seen... Now, I haven't hit my children, but I have strongly yanked them up from something or somewhere or dragged them somewhere or been possibly more forceful than, they would like. But
there's definitely been moments where I've kind of yanked them around or grabbed them or pulled them.
Yeah.
And there's on some of those rare occasions, somebody has sustained a mild, not serious injury.
Yeah.
Like they bump into something or they ran into me and bumped their face on my elbow or whatever. And I've been accused of like,
beating them,
hitting or
like,
hurting them. But never have I actually struck my child.
I don't think I've spanked my kids, but I have like flicked them to get their attention if they're not paying attention to me.
We do talk about nose flicks where we don't do that or I'll flick the nose.
So it's more sometimes to get attention. Like, so if I really mean business, like I won't hit them, but I will lay my hand on the table next to them and make a noise and be like, you have to listen.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention and knock off whatever crap you're doing. It's not them, but I think
there's still like a physical act.
Yes, it elicits a reaction from them. And I don't do it all the time, but sometimes these kids, I swear,
dude, you should look at this.
Yeah,
look at my notes. I haven't even started talking about anything on this piece of paper with my notes about this. I mean, like, so I'll kind of let's start.
Let's do it.
We've talked about some of the things we don't do.
Yeah.
And to what extent we do do some of those things. However, what we have done, and I like to think we've done almost everything. When they were really little, we did timeouts in like counting to 3 and stuff like that.
Yeah, we definitely did timeouts. I actually had a timer for a while, or I'd put one even on my phone and be like, you're sitting here until this goes off.
My kids used to have one of those clocks that would turn blue at bedtime.
Oh, okay.
But it also had a timeout button.
Oh.
And so we would set the time on the timeout button. And so then whenever you would hit the button, they had to stay in the room until the clocks. Yeah. The face of the clock would turn red, and then ultimately would turn back to yellow or whatever color
when they could get
before. So we used to do timeouts quite a bit. We started counting to 3, then we started counting to 2, and you would get 2, and then you would get a timeout. Now we kind of do the we'll take something away. Or deny you some sort of privilege of some kind.
Electronics or tablets or TV, or we do very similar.
We'll deny. My kids are very dependent on the bedtime ritual. They really like for me to sing them a song at bedtime.
Okay.
If I threaten to not do that, they will line straight up and do whatever I ask them to do.
That's nice.
Kind of weird, but
whatever works.
Totally motivates them.
Our struggle is we don't really have something specific that motivates them. Tablet time doesn't really motivate them because they're like, okay, and they just put it away. Yeah. So they're not super attached to it. Our kids more if we have something planned, right? Like an activity, and I'm like, if you don't straighten up, we are not going to going to this thing, or you're staying home.
We've done that some, and even we went to Michigan with my brother's family a while back, and at one point my younger son, my 7-year-old, was misbehaving, and he was pretty bad. He was yelling at everyone, and he was just kind of a mess. Okay. And I was just like, dude, we're just gonna go home. Yeah. I can't deal with you anymore. Yeah. You are constant. You are nonstop, just raging on everybody. We're going to go. And he was like, oh, hold on. I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave. And kind of started to
get his act together. Yeah.
Sort of, not 100%, but
at least better. Yeah, definitely. I will say that my children, the twins at least, very rarely act up when we're not home. They keep it together
away from home
because they really enjoy activities and they like going places and doing things, and I think that it's a change from home, and they usually, knock on wood, are better behaved elsewhere than they are at home. Now my oldest is super unpredictable. He's nonverbal, he's autistic, we never know what's gonna trigger him. We also don't really have a good feel for what works, because the problem with kids who are autistic in general is you never know whether it's a meltdown and they can't control their feelings and emotions, or if it's a tantrum and they're just being a jerk. Right. And so
because they can't tell you what is getting them set off.
And so sometimes I know he's being a jerk because I say, knock it off, or I'm going to blank, and he's quiet. And I'm like, well, clearly you can control it then. So it's a struggle with how to discipline him comparatively to the twins, too, because not the same things work at all for them. Yeah. Because if we're out and I'm like, if you don't get your stuff together, we're going to go home, he'll get in the car because he wants to go home. Right. So it's like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah, that doesn't work on him.
So it's like, okay, so we're still trying to find what best motivates our children, I think. But definitely I feel like denial of things works better than the timeouts now at their age and things like that. Or I'm going to take away whatever toy you're playing with is, or something like that. So
we're really focused right now on trying to like create like a responsible good behavior situation with the kids. So it's not like little like behavioral problems. Like even my younger kid, where I was like, oh, he was kind of like yelling at everybody the whole day. Like, not to make that seem like it isn't a big deal, but we're focusing on like the bigger picture with behavior right now. So one bad day, I'm not going to like tear away his most prized possessions.
Agreed. Yeah.
But we're focusing on being more responsible. For example, my kids have zero concern for being on time. They don't care about being on time to anything ever. And last Saturday, they both had soccer games at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And between them and my husband,
you were all
nobody was ready to go. We needed to leave my house at 8:30 so that we could get to the field by about 8:50 so they could be ready for like warm-ups and ready to go.
Totally get it.
And it was like, I want to say generous 8:45 we were getting ready to walk out of the house.
So you were pushing it.
We were really late.
Yeah.
We did not get out. My 7-year-old did not get out onto the field until like 10 after 9.
Oh, wow. You guys were really late.
We were so late.
Yeah.
So late that the coach sent an email to all of the parents because only 4 of the 11 kids were there at 9.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so they're all
And
late.
I had a conversation with this coach actually today, and I was just like, dude, I had emailed him already and was like, this was
sorry.
a low
this
point.
Was,
this was really low for us. And I had emailed him today because it's a Thursday, and I work on Thursdays, and my husband is off. But both my kids have soccer practice at 6 p.m.
Oh.
But I work about 45 minutes from my home, and we close at 5.
Yep.
So normally I would leave work maybe about 10 minutes early and make it home by like 5:30 and kind of just run out the door.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to do that today because there wasn't anybody else that could stay till 5. One of our normal employees had to take off early. And so I emailed the coach, and I'm like, dude, we're going to be late to practice.
Yeah.
I'm going to get home at like 5:45.
Yeah.
And we'll leave right away, but we won't be at practice at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's just not going to, there's no way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I talked to him at the practice, and he was just like, you know, you let me know, and I appreciate that, and it's okay, and the games are a little more serious. But we've been, so to kind of sum up a very long story about being on time, we have been trying to focus on incentivizing them to be on time with positive and negative reinforcement. So, like, when we are on time and we do things, you know, and things go well, you can have your device after school today for a while, and you can take it easy and relax, and you have homework or whatever, but beyond that, just chill out. Do whatever you want to do this afternoon.
You don't have to help with the laundry and do your chores and all of this stuff.
Yeah, you can just have a low-key afternoon.
I get it.
But when we are late to things, you don't get that stuff.
Yep.
Those are rewards for doing what you are supposed to do.
Yeah.
So being on time for school, which is not something we've had as much of an issue with, although it has happened. They're allowed to enter the building at 8:45, and there are mornings where it's 9 o'clock, and we're strolling up to the school, and I'm just like, we could have been here 15 minutes ago. I could have been on my way to work by now.
Yeah.
And now I'm standing outside waiting for my kid to go in.
Yeah. We I've been telling the twins repeatedly that their job is school. Like they need to get that right. And the on time thing is fine. We're usually on time for things. But they forget things all the time.
Yes.
Every single morning this week, I'm like, okay, is your backpack ready? And I'm not going to go through all of the things that need to be in there. But half of the time this week, one of them forgot a folder, forgot their water bottle, forgot a snack, forgot something. My daughter this morning, she can't wear she has like sandal things. You can't wear them to school, or she needs to bring gym shoes for PE. And she throws them on. She's like, well, I didn't have time to put socks on. I'm like, you got dressed this morning. Put your socks on when you get dressed so you can put your shoes on and run out the door. She didn't brush her hair. My twin boy didn't put a snack in his bag. He forgot his folder with his homework on the kitchen table, or they forget their homework at school and don't bring it home. And I'm like, guys, you need to get this right. This is like the only job you have most days is to make sure you bring things to school and home from school. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Like, and if you can't do that, then you can't watch TV when you get home.
Yeah.
You can't play on your tablets when you get home. You can't play Pokemon or whatever it is that you want to do. Like, you need to get this right. Like, it's literally just creating a habit of making sure that you have everything you need before you leave wherever it is you're leaving.
Right.
So we've been greatly emphasizing that constantly, and I still feel like it's just not clicking. And so at some point, like the other day, I'm like, nope, no TV. You forgot your math homework at school again. Mm-hmm. So you get to sit here like and not do that and not watch a program, because I don't know what else to do at that point, because it's not like they did something so bad that I need to take away something major or like really punishment, but they need something to be like, you can't just do this and not have a repercussion.
Well, otherwise you're not teaching them responsibility, which I know is like a whole nother subject.
But that's a lot of at their age, and our kids are generally good kids, so they're not usually going out and causing trouble, knock on wood, yet, but that doesn't mean they won't in 5 years. But most of what it has to do with is being responsible. Right. And so those pieces of it are where we have to have some sort of discipline in our house to get them out of those bad habits.
Well, sure. And I mean, responsibility covers so many things.
Yeah.
I mean, my older son, who's 10, him and his little brother, whenever they have a conflict, sometimes it will escalate and little brother will start getting physical. And I've talked to my 10-year-old and said, look, I get it. He pushed you, or he hit you, or he yelled at you, or whatever. Yeah. But if you respond by doing the same thing and you hit or push or hurt him, and I'm asking him to kind of go the extra step as the older, more responsible child and exercise a little bit more self-control. Yeah. And in the situations where he does, I do praise that. Agreed. And we focus now, because we've been dealing with this late issue, and we've been focusing really hard on being on time. Yeah. Whenever it happens, whenever we are on time, I say something. Yeah. Hey, man, my 7-year-old today, we were late to soccer, and I said, I know that we were late, but when I got home from work, you were ready to go, and we put your bag in the car, and we left right away. Yep. You did a great job. I was the reason that we were late, and that's okay. For you did great. You did what I asked you to do. Yeah. I told your coach, and everybody was aware of the situation, so we were responsible, and I positively reinforced that behavior. Yeah, that goes a long way in our household as well. My twins are they're just very emotional people. Like, they do want, like, they get upset if they think that I'm disappointed in them. So, like, having that extra praise is a big deal to them. So I agree that, having that positive reinforcement is just as important, at least in our household, as a negative one. So definitely try and do both. I feel like I was talking about this exact same thing, but in a completely different situation with work. Like, when I was talking about work, it's not discipline, but we report on errors and feedback and things, and we do a horrible job of giving positive reinforcement. Yeah. We do a great job of telling people when they screw up. We do a bad job of telling people when they've gone, when they do something above and beyond and well. And so I think that piece of it is really important, and part of what falls through the cracks a lot is giving praise for the things they do well. Yeah. Even if it's expected, if it's something that they've been struggling with, even if it is expected, give that positive reinforcement. Absolutely. I mean, as somebody who has people that work for me, I try very hard to thank people for their efforts, even when those efforts are expected, like you said.
Yeah. Agreed.
Even if you just did your job today, all you did was do what you are normally going to do in a normal day. If I say to you, hey, good job with that, and thanks for sticking around for a couple of minutes to finish that thing up, and it looks really good, and I like what you did with this, or whatever the case may be.
It actually goes a long way. It really does.
But it does.
Yes.
Telling people that they're valuable is huge.
It is.
And that's where they get that.
Even as adults it is. So if we start that as kids, it's something that sticks with them. And it is important. It's important to be valued. So
I do have one question for you, and then we can open up that second beer.
Sounds good.
So you mentioned that your kids don't want like social outings and things like that to be taken away, that's a big motivator for them to behave when you go out to dinners and things like that. When they do misbehave, do you take that stuff away?
We leave. So me and my husband...
I mean like, let's say you're going to go to dinner with your family.
We have, or we won't all go. So, oftentimes me and Brandon drive places separately in case we need to take somebody and leave. Okay. It's often my oldest, but there's times that if one of the other ones act up, they're coming with us too, and the other one will stay with Dad and finish.
Or vice versa,
yep,
right.
Exactly, or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So we have, not often and not recently, but we definitely have followed through on that.
That's something I really struggle with. I like to have dinner with my family, and there are times where, especially because it's usually like a Saturday night, there are times where like they had soccer early in the morning, and then maybe the little boy from down the street stopped by and we played outside for like 2 hours. And so everybody, and it was hot, and so everybody gets like really burned out, and we'll have this little bit of downtime between playing and dinner,
going out.
And everyone will just like be a total mess.
Yeah.
And I have a moment where I think to myself, I should take this away from them. But I'm selfish, and I want to go out to dinner with my family, and I want to eat my, gnocchi vodka sauce. And I don't want to. Actually. It is great. And I don't, and it's baked. They put mozzarella on it and they bake it in the oven.
Okay, anyways.
But I don't want to eliminate that because I feel like it's a punishment for
you.
Me.
Yeah, and that does happen at times, but we've canceled last minute on things and been like we can't go.
I mean, I've done a little bit more of that because my 7-year-old has started to get has had, like I said, he was yelling at everybody. Yeah. And that's been happening. Yeah. We've been having that happen every so often. And so whenever we're going to spend time with somebody, I kind of preface the situation with, look, I'd really like to do this with you. I would like to come over on Saturday. But if my 7-year-old is being super emotional before we come, I don't think it's going to be in anyone's best interest for us to come. Yeah.
Yeah, we do the same thing. And we've definitely canceled last minute on things depending on behaviors, or we've gotten to the point where we'll get somewhere and it's a bad situation and we're like, we're just going to leave. Like we're not staying, or happening. Like I said, some of us will stay and some of us will go. Yeah. But yes, we do that.
Yeah.
So
I think probably that's my biggest flaw in discipline all the way around, is that there are moments where I don't stick to my guns.
The follow through. Yeah. And that, don't get me wrong, we don't do it every time, but
I know nobody's perfect. Yeah. I just occasionally feel like, you know what, if I took this thing away this one time, how long would we go before this situation would come up again? How long would it take them to forget that whatever they did, whatever their crime was, resulted in taking away an entire evening of family time or a fun activity or a visit somewhere. And I believe that kids remember that stuff for a very long time.
They do. The twins really do. Like they remember stuff like that, and I really do think that if you follow through on a handful of things like that, it sticks with them at the age that they're at. It really has more of an effect than I think it would when they're older. So we try. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely times that I'm like, I want to do this thing, so we're going.
Yeah.
But there's also times that I'm like, well, I guess we're not, so it depends. But yeah, we definitely have, and we definitely need to work on even just the follow through of me being like, if you yell one more time, I'm doing this.
And then
it
the thing happens.
Requires me to actually do something, and I don't always follow through, and I need to make an effort to do that.
Yeah.
And that's the threats need to be followed with whatever the threat was.
Yeah. I mean,
doing.
When they were really little, I used to be really rigid about, I'm not going to threaten something unless I'm going to do it for sure.
Yep.
And obviously time wears away at you.
No, I get it.
And
for
you're
sure.
like, oh, if you do that, I'm going to take your tablet away for the whole weekend.
Right. And then that's a punishment for me, because now you're going to be
I can't have
bothering
1
me
minute
every
by
5
myself.
seconds. Mom, what about this? What am I doing now? What do you want to do? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm bored. It's raining outside.
Right.
I don't have a
so
tablet.
I get it that it's hard on us to follow through on some of those things. So that's definitely hard, especially for both of us. Like if my husband's at work all day and I say you can't have your tablet, what in the hell am I going to do with these 3 kids?
I mean,
on a whole Saturday,
honestly,
with nothing to do and it's crappy outside, like you're gonna watch a movie. Like I don't know what else to do. Yeah,
I have to say, and I know this isn't the subject we're discussing really specifically, but when it comes to like screen time and devices and things like that, I have to say that if it's a rainy, cold weekend that requires everyone to stay indoors, and you have a time limit on your kid's tablet, let's say like an hour.
Yeah.
Like if you were alone, Lauren, for an entire Saturday and it was rainy and cold and you weren't going to leave your house, so like you're not running errands, you're not going anywhere, you would spend more than an hour watching something, looking at your phone,
hours,
at your computer.
Oh, for sure.
And part of me is sort of like, I'm not saying that your kid should spend the entire day doing that activity.
Yeah.
However, I think there is a reasonable period of time based on what's happening to you that day that you can allow without literally setting a stopwatch on your kid.
Oh yeah. No, we haven't had timers on our stuff in a very long time. Like it's
That's good.
So we monitor it, and if we feel like some days I feel like it's a beautiful day, no, you don't get your tablet.
Get
so
out,
you're gonna go outside and do something, or we're gonna go to the park, or we're gonna do something. If it's a crappy rainy day and all we want to do is sit on the couch and watch movies, and one of the kids wants to watch this and the other one wants to play on their tablet, so what?
Go do your thing.
Yeah, for sure. So we definitely do that. All right, I'm going to open Good for the Goose. Tequila barrel-aged golden sour ale, lime, lemon, orange zest, sea salt, and Amarillo hops. There's a whole lot going on in this can.
Yeah. This is, it's not cran raz, that's for sure.
No, it's something else.
I'm excited to smell this.
I feel like I smell the salt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's kind of I don't know. Like,
what's in this?
Lime, lemon.
I get
orange.
I think I get lime.
I feel like I smell a tequila shot.
Yeah,
lime,
right?
salt. I mean, I get that it's, tequila
it basically is a shot of tequila.
But that's essentially what I smell.
Let's drink it and see what it tastes like.
All right, let's give it a shot. I definitely taste salt. This is super interesting.
But it definitely has, it's salt. It's got salt flavor, but it definitely has like the tart lemon lime.
It's got the citrus in it. The lemon
I don't know
lime.
if I can differentiate in this specifically which one I'm getting more of. It's definitely citrusy.
I just get the citrus, like the lemon lime mix. I don't necessarily feel like one is more differentiated over the other. I feel like on this, comparatively to the first one, that aftertaste goes away like immediately.
Yeah,
there's like nothing that sticks with me.
I'm trying to get like I assumed that the tequila would be like an aftertaste or a burn.
I get nothing.
Or heat.
I taste it and it's like dissipates.
Yeah, I don't get
that same sour edge that sticks with you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a super interesting beer. Like,
it is really interesing.
It's almost like
I could drink a whole can.
More than a beer taste to me.
Wow.
I don't know.
A rosé and a cocktail. Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Tonight.
It's just different. It's very different. Because usually with the sours, it tastes, it's got a tart taste to it, but it doesn't taste like a sour
It
ale.
doesn't
to me.
have the funk.
No, at all.
This is not funky.
No, it's not what I expected from a sour.
No.
I couldn't drink a whole can of this.
No, I would get a tummy ache.
Yeah, it's a cool taste. It's definitely different. I get
I'm
the
glad
flavors.
we tasted it.
I couldn't drink I couldn't drink a pint of this, but it's super interesting, very different. Definitely different than any beer I've had.
Definitely.
Cool.
But that was fun.
Yeah.
I like Noble Creature. That was really fun. I could totally see going to this place for an evening and having some tasters of a variety of their stuff.
This is a type of place that is perfect for
a
sampling because there's all these different flavor profiles that I probably couldn't drink a whole beer of, but it's nice to get the different tastes and kind of experiment with these different flavors. So definitely I would do that. Yeah, this was cool. I liked this. So all right, well, Noble Creatures, thank you. This was fun.
Cheers.
Thanks everyone for listening to the latest musings from Parenting by the Pint.
Be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you find your podcasts.
Have a great week, and cheers to you all.